the American Center for Law and Justice and send a message to the President and Congress. Stand with Israel and stop bullying our most vital ally. Add your name to our petition right now. Call 1-877-989-2255 or add your name online, aclj.org.
To do a comprehensive analysis for you, because what we had this morning when I was thinking through the situation, reviewing the speech of Prime Minister Netanyahu and then President Obama's retort, which is what it was, his reply, where the theme of that reply was, well, the Prime Minister's offered nothing new, he really hasn't said anything, hasn't offered any alternatives, and we laid out for you the four that Benjamin Netanyahu laid out with his own words, where the president had his talking points from David Axelrod, who was tweeting out exactly what President Obama was saying moments later. So there you have that, for whatever that's worth. But I wanted to give you a real analysis, and we did. We put our team together here to give you an analysis of what the Prime Minister actually said and what President Obama said, and how they're two ships passing in the night, but the Prime Minister is correct, and I think President Obama is really wrong. Let me play for you now. There's this other theme about even military action would not be as successful as the deal that we have put forward, talking about the deal the United States has made with the Iranians. Before I do that, Jordan, do we even know the deal?
None of us actually know the specifics of the deal, and what we're commenting on and talking about is what's come out of these talks out of Switzerland, how the Iranians have responded, and so far it seems like to them even a deal which would allow, and this would be the most extreme example, this 10-year deal where if they basically follow the rules, they then have a free reign on a nuclear program 10 years from now, or, you know, as Prime Minister Netanyahu talked about, the nefarious way, which is that they will try to continue their program throughout this 10 years so that they speed it up, that either way you're going towards a nuclear Iran. The question is just how soon, and both are pretty short timelines, and how the rest of the world will respond. I mean, are the Saudis then going to demand nuclear weapons? And why would, as an ally of the U.S. instead of an enemy of the U.S., why would we stop there? And so you have a nuclear-armed Middle East, which could put the whole balance of power in jeopardy. And you know what I think is, honestly, President Obama looks at the first, second, and third, and the fact is that to even ask Iran to stop their rhetoric on annihilating Israel would stop the negotiations. Now, to me, that's enough to say why you don't want them to have a nuclear program.
That's exactly
and why
correct.
That's not a country we say we're not going to, you know, this would be better than a military action. I think the whole world sees the potential for the need of military action, or at least the threat of that, to get Iran serious about any kind of real deals.
But we will not even say to the Iranians, you got to stop sponsoring terrorism, you got to stop harming your neighbors, and you got to stop calling for the destruction of Israel. We don't even have that as a precondition. Then the president says, well, you know, even military action would not be as successful as the deal we've offered. Here's his statement, number 20. This is number 5.
It may be that Iran cannot say yes to a good deal. I have repeatedly said that I would rather have no deal than a bad deal. But if we're successful negotiating, then in fact this will be the best deal possible to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Nothing else comes close. Sanctions won't do it. Even military action would not be as successful as the deal that we have put forward.
Well, first of all, that's not true, because we can annihilate the Iranians militarily. So that, I mean, why are we selling ourselves short? But listen to what the Prime Minister said in his speech about the good deal, bad deal rhetoric.
My friends, for over a year, we've been told that no deal is better than a bad deal. Well, this is a bad deal. It's a very bad deal. We're better off without it. Now we're being told that the only alternative to this bad deal is war. That's just not true. The alternative to this bad deal is a much better deal.
Yeah, and then the rest of it goes, a better deal that doesn't leave Iran with a vast nuclear infrastructure, such as short breakout times to develop their nuclear weapons, which is not part of our deal. So it does need to be, as the Prime Minister said, a better deal. Let's send a message to the Prime Minister of Israel that we're standing with Israel and the Jewish people. ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255. ACLJ.org or 877-989-2255. I urge you to sign on to that petition. We're going to deliver it to them this week. And let's go take another call, Jordan.
right back to the phones we go, and let's go to Sue in Oregon on line 3. Sue, welcome to JSECio Live. Hi, Sue.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
I called in yesterday, and at the end of the program, at least on the Pacific Coast, I made a comment about how, we were the only country founded on principles and on God as Israel. And right now, what the president is doing, I'm sorry, but the American people are, like, asleep. Number one,
what the president's doing right now is selling a deal that we haven't seen that runs the risk of doing nothing but giving Iran more time to develop their nuclear capability. We don't even know what the deal is. And if we've gone for 2 years and end up with nothing, which is including no Saeed Abedini released, no precondition that Israel should be recognized as a Jewish state, no precondition that they'll stop sponsoring terrorism, none of that. So we're really getting nothing out of this as it stands right now. Now, maybe we'll be surprised. But listen to the condescending nature of the, quote, democratic response to the Prime Minister of Israel's speech. This is our strongest ally in the region and certainly one of our strongest allies in the world. And Representative Yarmouth from Kentucky has to go to the podium after an incredible speech by the Prime Minister of Israel and say these words, which are, in my view, folks, repulsive.
Prime Minister Netanyahu basically said that the only acceptable deal was a perfect deal or an ideal deal. It's like the child who says, I want to go to Disneyland every day, eat ice cream and drink Coca-Cola every day, and not go to school.
You know, this is such a ridiculous response. That this is the best the Democrats could put up? Was this guy saying the Disneyland quote, and basically the only acceptable deal is a perfect deal? Hey, you're dealing with a potentially nuclearized Iran. You know what the best deal is? The perfect deal that protects the U.S. interest and protects our interests in the region, including Israel. The Prime Minister said, we're not looking for the perfect deal. He said, we need the best deal, a better deal, and a better deal doesn't give Iran that capability. And, Jordan, that's part of the problem here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Is it so far everything that's on the table leads to a nuclear Iran to some extent. And if you take the Iranians at their word, which their history has shown it since 1979, that's not a smart thing to do. Their actual intentions are nefarious. That they have intentions to create a nuclear weapon, regardless of what they say publicly. And why would we take their word for it? That's not enough when you're dealing with this number one state sponsor of terrorism, a nation that calls for the annihilation of another nation, and their rhetoric that chants death to America at their rallies. And so, again, why would you accept this? This is not dealing with, as you know, we've heard about the Netherlands and or Western European country, and then we have to deal with the reality of who we're sitting across the table from. Why would you trust them with a program that does allow them to get to the nuclear program that would be able to be weaponized?
Well, that's actually coming up in the next segment of the broadcast. We're going to talk about that exact issue of letting them get to that status. We've got a lot more ahead. First 30 minutes of the broadcast is gone. Go over to SiriusXM. You got the whole hour. If not, ACLJ.org. Folks, let's send a message. Those of you on the line on the phone, stay on the line there. We're going to get to you. Send a message to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Say, we're standing with you here. The American people are with you. ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255. You sign that petition at 877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org, and we're going to deliver that from our offices in Jerusalem to the Prime Minister this weekend. I want to get 25,000 signatures on it. ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255. Don't forget, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. I've got Twitter. Jordan has Twitter. And also very important, like all of our Facebook pages so you can stay engaged. Back with more in just a moment.